Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm your friend in XO. Today we are going to continue to learn the Unity. And today we are going to learn how to do the animation with the Unity. There are various ways to create animation clips in Unity. One way is to import an animation clip created in a digital content creation package like Maya, 3ds Max, or Blender, but I suggest you guys to use this one because it's a cross-platform software, so you could use it under Linux, and it is free, while others they are not free. These animations are typically very specific and require the expertise of an animator. So, animator could be a career for you if you are very interested in that. However, not all animations lead to be as complex as character animations. Unity allows users to create simple animations without the expertise of an animator. Yeah, that's what we are going to achieve. We want to create some simple animations. The animation window provides a standard set of tools necessary for animation like keyframes, playhead, animation timeline, and curves. These tools allow users to get the look and feel their desire out of their animation, creating keyframe animation. Game objects can be animated in Unity. View the animation window. Using traditional keyframe animation technique. Keyframes are points on an animation clip timeline that contain data about the object, about the game object, like its transform data. These keyframes indicate some sort of change in that data to produce an animation. When the animation plays, Unity interpolates the data from one keyframe to the next. So here, as we can see, we got 3 keyframes with different data inside of that. From the window menu, select animation. Dock the animation window behind the project window for ease of navigation. Select the necessary game object in the hierarchy. In the game animation window, click on the animation clip drop-down menu and select create new clip. So let's do it. First one, we're gonna go to the window and we're going to choose the animation. Where are you? Oh, here we go. We get the animation and now we got a window. Yeah, I was thinking about how can I put this into somewhere. Okay, so now in the button, out of the button, we got our animation window. So what else we need to do? We need to select the necessary game object in the hierarchy. Necessary game object. Let's say for this case, I'll just choose a wall, the ceiling. Oh, this one. And after that, what we need to do is to create a new clip. Here we go. Here we can create a new clip. He asked us to save that animation, so let's create a new folder called animations, and from there we can call this ceiling moving. Alright, so now we got our timeline right in here, and after that, so let's say browser to the desired folder to save the animation clip and rename it. Yeah, we already did that. Unity uses automatic keyframe, meaning that once in animation mode, any movement applied to the game object in the scene view will be recorded in the animation. In the animation window, press the record button to begin create keyframe. The white line in the animation timeline is called the playhead, and it indicates where a keyframe will be added. To move it, simply left-click and drag the playhead to the desired frame. In the scene view, move the selected game object using Move tool. To change its current position, a keyframe will be added where the playhead is located. If it's a new animation, it will create a keyframe at the beginning of the animation collapse timeline. But let's say that's too abstract. Let's just try to do it by ourselves. First we click this record button, and after that let's say we add property. No, that's not gonna work. Okay, for now if we move the setting, we got a keyframe out there. But what if we move this for a little bit? We move it to, let's say, here. Then we change the keyframe down, something like that. Then let's say we wanna stop that recording. The problem here is that I just wanna know what the animation looks like. So for doing that, we're gonna press this play button, and as you can see that animation goes crazily, so that's definitely not what we want. Let's stop it here. Let's say what we want to do is to move that keyframe to a different place. Now let's say we want to play this animation again. As you can see, it goes much more slower, but it's still too quick, as I think. So, okay, now after we move that keyframe to a totally, let's say, to a far away future, now let's play that again, and you can see this animation is quite good at the speed, but not continuous. So what we are going to do is to light it to be a continuous one. So we're gonna move the how they call it? They call it a playhead. So let's move this playhead line to the beginning and press the record button. After that, we move this animation, or we move this object to the original position. Okay, now it looks something like this. If we stop the recording and play this animation, as you could say, it's quite good, as I think. But again, I think the speed is still too quick. I'm gonna do some moving here. Now let's play this again. Now, as you can see, it's just as smoothly as it could be. I think that's fine for this one. It's just as good as it could be. Great. You know what? We can even do copy and paste of the keyframe, so it can looks more great. We can view this scene from a different perspective, and from all, let's say, from all kinds of scenes. That's pretty good. So I think this video or this learning is very successful. But let me say that it's still not so good because we still get two, let's say, different part of it. So let's create a new animation. For this one, I'm gonna call it right wall moving. For this one, at the beginning, should add okay, so this is the first frame. Now if we go to somewhere else, we move it to here, then we stop the recording. Let's see what we got. This is what we got. But we can do a copy to get a new frame. Now it looks something like this. Great. I'm going to do the same thing for another wall. So left wall moving. Second one. And let's go to the third one. Okay, so this one also looks pretty good. The problem left here is that how can we actually play three of the animations at the same time? That could be a little bit challenging. Okay, it's quite interesting that I didn't know anything about the animation with Unity before. I cannot find any knowledge at my blog. So let's do this together. How to make an animation controller. I'm going to assume you know most of the basics of Unity. Yes, I know that. Say create a 3D cube game object and position your camera to be looking at it. Yes, we already have that. Go to the window menu and click on animation. This will open the animation window. In the animation window, click the create button to create something. Let's say. Then, let's say we're gonna need to create an animation controller. Right click the object window and hit the animator controller. So let's go to there. From the hierarchy, what we want to do is to right click it and yeah, I didn't see a animation controller kind of scene. So how they did that? Okay, here we go. From the components, yeah, I still couldn't say animation controller. Right click in the object window and click create to create an animation window. So here is the project window. From there, inside of the animation, I may wanna use a create, and here I'm gonna choose the animator controller. I hope you could see it right in here. And I'm going to give it a name. Animation controller. Alright. After that, double click on the animator controller to open the animator controller editor. Once it's open, drag and drop both of your animations into the animator controller window. So let's click that. Oh. So after click the animation controller, we got a window looks like this. Then what do? Let's say we want to drag the 3 of those animations to this window. So here we get something like this. But how can we use it actually? The next part of this this Unity tutorial is to create the transition logic for all animations. Right click on any state and choose make transition. Move your mouse on top of the base node and left click on it. This will connect an arrow from any states onto the base animation. Sorry, I cannot understand that. Right click on any state and choose make transition. Okay, so right click this one, make transition. It will actually create an arrow, and we could let's say connect it to some of the animations. Yeah. After that, now we want to be able to translate from our base state to a read animation state. Right click on the base and choose make transition and click on read anime. Now we also want to be able to go back to our base state from the read anime. So right click on that and choose make transition and connect it to the base node. Oh shit, I think that's too overwhelming, since I didn't know how to do that actually. So here we go. Let's make a transition to one of them, each of them. So we get something like this. We got this structure. The flowchart is basically what we are looking for. However, we still need to create a variable that we can use in our code to be able to make the transition happen. To do this, we click the Add button near the top left of the animator controller window and choose the trigger from the drop-down. Name the trigger make read, and we'll be able to call on this trigger. We'll say sharp code. However, we need to tell the transitions that we want to use this trigger to make a transition happen. Left click on the arrow going from base to read animation. You will notice that transition come up in the inspector on the right side of Unity. There is a section called conditions. Click the add icon in the section and it will add the make read trigger to the list of conditions. To be honest, I have no idea about what he was talking about. But Let me try this out. So we cannot select this one. If we select this one, we'll create a new layout. And obviously, we don't need a new layout, so we can delete it. And from this parameter, I don't know if we can. Oh, we can create a trigger, and we can give it this trigger a len. Let's say let's just call it a move. Okay, now we got this parameters. What else we can do? We'll be able to call it, but how can we call it? However, we need to tell the transitions that we want to use this trigger to make a transition happen. Left click on the arrow going from base to read enemy. You'll notice the transition come up in the inspector on the right side of Unity. There is a section called conditions. Click the add icon in the section and it will add the whatever to the list of conditions. So let me try this out. Here, we will go from the setting move to the next one. So we click this arrow line, and from there we can probably choose this parameter. But that makes sense. Oh, you'll notice the transition come up in the inspector on the right side of the Unity. There is a section called conditions. Click the add icon in that section, and it will add the mark read tracker to the list of conditions. So let's try it out. So here I already collected that arrow, and in the right side we can say from the inspector window we got conditions. I don't think we got that. Oh, here we got a conditions, and we add one. If we add that, we got this in there. Yeah, it's still confusing. I don't know what's happened here. We also need to do this on transition from read enemy to base. Left click on that arrow and do the same thing. Now Unity will know to only make those transitions happen if the make read trigger is activated. Notice how we use a single trigger for both transitions. This works because each transition will only happen if we are already in that transition. So if we are on the base animation, the mark read can only cause the transition from base to read enemy to happen. The same is true for if we are on the read animation, whatever. At this point, we need to put the animator controller on our cube. Drag and drop the animator controller you created into the cube object. So in the end, it looks like this. We got our animator attached into the object that we are using. We need to change one more thing on our animations before we can create the scripts. Left click on the animation in your project window. In the inspector, check the loop time box. This will ensure the looping is turned off on those animations. We do not need to turn off that's a loop. So let me do this. We're gonna go to one of our objects. Let's choose the setting. Okay, from there, I'm gonna drop the animation controller into that object. So here we got our controller, something like that. Now you need to create a new C# script, lambda read script. This script is incredibly simple. It looks like this. So at the beginning, we got that animator, and then if some condition happened, if we made some condition, we set that animation by giving it a trigger. So let's do it. Here I'm gonna go into create a new component, and it should be a script. But before we do that, let's here from this thing, I'm going to say create a C# script and give it a len. Let's say move the ceiling. After that, we get a script. Yes, from there we can actually do some editing for it. So you're gonna say animator, anime equal to that. Then anime equal to get component animator. If some condition happen, for example, input that get key down, key code of space. If that key has been pressed, we do animate dot set a trigger, and we're gonna give it a variable. For this case, that will be the move. So we are done. Let's try to run our game. Let's say I guess there has some problems with the cameras that I have. So for now, the camera is inside of that stupid box. Now we need to move it out. For now, as you could say, it's quite weird. Why he wanna do that? Why they always keep doing that? After the command out, let me run this weird game again. Now, as you could say, it's still quite weird. It says that we need to turn off the loop time to disable the auto play of our animation. So here for each animation, I'm gonna turn off the loop time. For this one, I'm going to also turn off the loop time. Now, if we play our game again, I still say this weird thing. The only thing different is that it stops that animation when it hits the end of that animation. How about we remove that animator? What would happen? Let's say if we remove that animator and we play that game again, we'll say the animation goes once and it's gone. What about we turn on those loops? If I turn on that loop, you'd say the left and right wall is keep on moving, but the top wall is keeping there still. Okay, I found a way to work around with this. So we select the setting moving and we move it to our settings, something like that. And they will apply that animation to that object we created. But here we go, we don't want to have that loop enabled. But before we do that, as you can say, it's in a loop without any doubt. Now if we turn off those loops, it will loop only once, and it will go to the end of its animation. Yeah, after that we're gonna move one of the controllers into, to be honest, I'm gonna give this animation controller to the setting. After that, I say a quite weird thing. So I'm gonna do some editing with the animator controller. I'm going to delete this connection to the right. We got left or moving. We got one arrow. To make them have a different space, this is what I'm gonna do. If that makes sense. I still don't know why that is happening. I guess they are making it too complex. So let's do this. For this parameter, I'm going to give it a trigger, and for this trigger, I'm gonna set it to down. Oh, sorry. One of them gonna be down, and one of them gonna be up. So for the down, if I choose if I choose this arrow from up to down, and what I'm gonna do is choose the down and go to here. I'm gonna change this condition to down. Alright. Then if we choose this arrow from this one, I'm gonna change it to up. Now I'm gonna set this tracker to up. No, maybe I should change it to down. Yeah, the problem. Now the problem is we don't know if. Oh, I got the idea. So I didn't attach the script into our object. That's silly. So now if we attach the script into our object, we would be able to control it without any problem. So for now, if I press the again, so I don't know if it's working or not, but I'm going to print out something. Okay guys, finally I understand what's going on there. So first we're gonna go to the animation controller. From there, as you would say, we got different animation lamp, and we got this transition. For each here, I just created an integer called status number. If we want to go from this one to this one, we click this arrow. And from there, we say condition status number. When it's equal to 0, we do this transition. And we click this arrow again. We say if this one equals to 1, it goes from the bottom to top. Then we assign this controller to the setting object. Let's say right in here we got it's attached to the setting object. Then we create a new script. We also attach to this object. The codes would be something like this. First, we get that integer back, and we say if it's equal to 0, we set that equal to 1. If it's equal to 1, we set it to equal to 0. So in this case, if we play it, we could press the space key to actually change the states or do that translation for our animation. But here's a bug that I met. Oh no, there has no bugs. So if I press the okay, there has a bug out there. So if I press the space button, if it stopped, it will not start again. Yeah, the problem is, or we could actually fix this by force it to play one of the actions. For example, if we have a animation lambda setting move, we can use this command or this line of code to actually call it directly. And again, we can even call this one if we give it the right lamb. Something like that. Okay, now if I press the space button again, you will say it's right in there, and we press it again, it now goes here. So as I could say, you'd better just use the element animation play function to call your animations instead of call the translation or tracker or something like that. That's pretty useless, and I think it's not necessary. And it's quite stupid because it has a lot of bugs out there. So what you can do is turn those animation knobs on, so it will knob forever. So now actually I have a control over the settings. I could let it to go to the right side, something like that, something like this. And then I could also press the space button to let it go back to the top animation. So for this case we got it correct. For some people, why they use this arrow line here? Well, it's because they want to control the translation. So they don't want to directly just switch to a new action or new animation. They want to do it slowly by control this thing. At the first, it's this is an translation from setting moving to leftward moving. So it will first call the setting moving, then at the middle of the time, it generally calls the leftward moving. So that's something like that. Okay, that's today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. And I hope you enjoy this. Goodbye.